Good morning, Chavra. Today is the 27th day of Sivan, July 3rd. And we're going to learn Tanya in today's lesson, which is on page 69, the Chayenu. Now that Phil's here, after getting up from Shiva, I'd like to dedicate the class in memory of Sar Rezel Bas, Rav Elazar Shmuel. Shirley's neshama should have an aliyah. And Phil, you should have a lot of comfort and strength, especially in the coming days. In today's lesson, the godly energy which fills the world is an energy that is contracted so that it is able to energize the finite creations of the world. Yesterday we talked about Soviv Kol Almin, the surrounding energy of God. Today we talk about the Mamalik Kol Almin. God fills the world in every respect. It's the life force that becomes enclosed, meaning internalized within the essence of each creation. Shehi mitzum semes b'seichai b'tzimtzum rav kifi erech mahusa nivra shehu bal gvul v'tachlis k'mahusay v'yichusay dahainu malosay v'chashivusay. God's light is powerfully contracted within every single creation, according to the nature of the created beings, which is finite and limited in quantity and in quality. Quality meaning its significance and importance. Now here comes a very fun part of Tanya. I don't know if the right adjective is fun, but you'll see it's quite a fascinating piece. Since the life force must vest itself within the finite created being and unite with it utterly, it must necessarily be contracted and limited according to the intrinsically finite nature of the created being. What does that mean? Shomer, can you close the door, please? The glass doors. Kigoin. Oh, thank you. Kigoin hashemesh shegufa yesh bo gvul v'tachlis b'kamusai shehu k'may kuf samach zayin pamim kigoydel kadoraz. Listen to this, guys. The example is of the sun, whose body is finite and limited quantitatively, being approximately, the Alter Rebbe says, 167 times the size of the globe of the earth. And then there's a note here that says that, and the Rebbe wrote this note, the Rambam in Hilchos Yesodei HaTorah states that the sun is approximately 170 times the size of the globe of the earth. So it says, but it's not a difficulty with the Alter Rebbe's statement. For in the Rambam's introduction to his commentary in the Mishnah, he is more precise and writes 166 and 3/8 times. So this was before all the modern technology and equipment that they may use today. The Rambam is telling you 166 and 3/8, and here it says 167 versus what the Alter Rebbe is saying 167 versus the Rambam 170. So it's very interesting. So he says the view of astronomy applies to the volume of the sun. All this is not a problem. Why? The Rambam's talking about the diameter. And the diameter of the sun, based on present-day astronomy, is about 110 times that of the earth, not 170. But this measurement takes into consideration only specific layers of the sun and not all of them. For the outermost layers of the sun contract and expand greatly from time to time. And not all the layers are visible to the eye, only their effects are visible. Hence, it is difficult to measure them. Likewise, it's just so funny. There's one other thing here. As to the seeming contradiction between the 166, 167, or 170, imagine the present-day astronomy, they say that the sun is 4 or 5 million more times greater than the earth. The Rebbe says that that's when they're talking about the mass of the sun versus its diameter.
The photosphere, the chromosphere, the transition region, and the corona. That's what
I just find it so fascinating that the Alter Rebbe wrote this 200, almost 300 years ago. The Rambam, how many more years before that, right? It's unbelievable. Okay, they're giving the example that the sun, whose body is finite, The sun is not limitless, it's finite. Okay, it might be 92 million miles away, and it may be, however big it is based on what we're learning. But nevertheless, no matter how great it is, the quality and significance, namely its light that it brings, we're benefiting from it right now, is also limited to the extent that it can emit light. When it goes down, or if there's clouds in the way, it blocks that light. It cannot illuminate indefinitely since it's a created being. Hashem created it. So inherently it's limited. Thus, although the light of the sun illuminates with a great distance, that distance is not without limit. Everything that's created by Hashem is created with some limitation. It's finite. Likewise, all created beings, I also find this interesting, all created beings are finite and limited. From the earth to heaven is a journey of 500 years. I just always try to figure out who took that trip that could tell us that amount of years. And so too, from one heaven to the other, distance is 500 years. So if you're going to go from one world to the next, it takes 500 years. Okay. They didn't have Teslas back then. Maybe it would have been 200 years instead. Basically, created beings are finite and limited, and the life force which is invested in them is greatly and powerfully contracted. So if there's energy from Hashem, it's contracted within, by definition, a finite being. So it has to be contracted in order to go into a finite being. So therefore, the light of Hashem must go and undergo numerous and powerful contractions until created beings by nature, finite and limited, may be brought into existence from the light of Hashem, from its power and light. So only after this process of self-limitation will the limitless life force be able to invest itself within finite created beings and become united with them, as Alter Rebbe is going to continue to explain. So basically, God's taking his infinite light, putting it into a finite creation. That takes a lot of work, a lot of contraction, a lot of limitation. And the takeaway is the limitations that every creation has, for example, its size, is all a product of the divine energy that sustains each and every creation, which means Hashem put a particular amount of energy into this. This one's going to last 120 years. Maybe this building is going to last 300 years. Maybe this mountain's going to last 1,000 years. Whatever it is, that it only goes to show how the Eibishter was so particular. First, yesterday we talked about Seviv Kolamin, sort of from a bird's eye viewpoint, not literally, but at least that's the general idea of the surrounding light. And then today we talked about the permeating energy of God, which gives koyach to each thing specifically. The smallest bug, the tiniest grain of salt, the little molecule, a drop of water, and the greatest sphere in the sky, the stars and the moon and the sun and the planets and this world and even the spiritual worlds. Hashem gives it its energy according to its need. All right, that's it for today. Levi, have a safe trip. Have a wonderful summer. David, nice to see you. Yuda, nice to see you guys. And all the best. See you tomorrow.